Kalos left us with a variety of unanswered questions, ranging from who its adversary was in the Great War, to the unused model of Eternal Flower Floette. A natural result of developing a rich region for us to explore, and our lack of chances to do so. Among the mysteries that remain is Couriway Town's train station, and most importantly, its destination. I tackled this question nearly 5 years ago in one of my most viewed theories. In it, I provide evidence to suggest a connection to Unova, and later speculated that it may also lead to the strange Souvenir's home region, which we now know as Alola. But today I wish to present, like my other theory remakes, a refined, expanded, and updated version of that theory using evidence previously missed by me, suggested by commenters, or found by other theorists wrapped up in a visually improved package. The railway brings people from great distances to see the huge, majestic falls, is Couriway Town's map description. What great distances is the question that remained unsolved. We know Couriway Town is themed around connection of differences, not only due to the town's slogan, but also due to the town's name in German, Spanish, French, and Italian. Each name is themed around one word: mosaic. As you know, a mosaic is a piece of art that is an assemblage of smaller pieces of tesserae, chiefly made of glass or stone. This is undoubtedly a reference to Couriway's town slogan, a town that connects differences, like those found in culture. This further reinforces that the railway doesn't simply lead to an, as of yet, unexplored section of Kalos, as each region tends to present us with a unified culture. But that's not all, as the name association is far more intricate in Japanese, where Couriway Town is known as Renri Town. There are several translations, but chiefly for this theory, the translation of entwined branches can be interpreted as the relationship between two separate branches, either from the same source or another. Combined with the Japanese name for Kurumarine City, Hyoku, they form the phrase Hyoku Renri, which translates to marital vows. This implies a sort of union between both of these seemingly unimportant Kalosinian locations. It's easy to miss the connections, but both are popular tourist destinations, and each has their own rail system, though Kurimarine's is localized. But I think one of the biggest connections, though broad, is that both have access to major modes of transportation, with Couriway's railway and Kurimarine's port respectively. Keep this port in mind, as it will come into play later. So we have established that Couriway is a town connecting differences, and that it's a known tourist location, as is its sister settlement. Therefore we can conclude that chances are Couriway's rail station and Kurimarine's port receives international tourists. This can be confirmed by the hiker from Alola who gives us the strange souvenir. Though we can't confirm how he arrived in Kalos, though judging by the in-game lack of an airport, it can be assumed that it was through either Couriway Town or Kurimarine City. But are there connections to any specific locations that could clue us in on Couriway's eastward terminus? Yes. Look no further than Parfum Palace, which simply knowing that it was built after a war with Kalos' neighbors 300 years ago, confirms that Kalos has not just one neighbor, but multiple. The palace itself is adorned with statues and even hedge mazes. Curiously, the majority are native Unovan Pokemon. But before we tackle those, there is one statue of Milotic that, while not indicating Unova directly, suggests support for international travel to and from Kalos, even 300 years ago. For the sake of clarity, let's assume that Pokemon introduced in a specific region hail from said region unless otherwise stated by the developers in the case of a Alolan Executor. We should also assume that within the last 300 years, the dispersion of Pokemon in Kalos hasn't shifted dramatically. This can be supported by the fact that the last major documented event before the events of X and Y was the war between Kalos' neighbor just before the palace's construction. With that cleared, Milotic is a beautiful Pokemon proclaimed by numerous Pokedex entries, but Milotic nor its pre-evolution can be found in Kalos. So what's odd about this? Well, Feebas is famous for its tenacious life force and its ability to live anywhere. Proven by the fact that, while rare, Feebas is catchable in every region introduced after Hoenn, even in the dark interior of Mount Coronet, with the exception being Kalos. This implies that during the construction of Parfum Palace, a Milotic was brought to Kalos and a sculpture made in its image. You may be curious on why such a tenacious Pokemon fails to have an established presence in Kalos. Well, that's a question for another future theory remake. The other art adorning Parfum Palace also suggests, though somewhat loosely, a connection to other regions, notably Unova. Before entering the courtyard, the pond you cross is fitted with a pair of identical sculptures featuring a human, likely a knight, Eevee, Palpitoad, and Galar. This is an odd collection of Pokemon, given that 2 of them are native to Unova. Galar can't be found in the wild in Kalos, though its pre-evolution, Golett, is present, namely on Route 10. This is logical given that these man-made Pokemon are often found in ruins or historic locations. AZ's flashback confirms that Galar was present during the Great War, thereby clouding if this Pokemon actually originates from Unova. But using that previously established assumption, we will assume that these Pokemon do originate from ancient Unovans, and that perhaps this technology was exported over time. Eevee isn't native to Unova, but instead Kanto. However, Eevee is an exceptionally adaptable Pokemon, and certainly arrived in Kalos at some point and quickly adapted to its surroundings. While this doesn't support a connection directly to Unova, it does further suggest Kalos' connection to the outside world. Palpitoad is a different story, and is a stronger candidate to suggest a direct connection to Unova, or even Galar. This is because Palpitoad, nor its evolutions, can be found in Kalos outside of the Friend Safari. However, Palpitoad is found in Unova and Galar, yet curiously, not Alola, suggesting that it hasn't adapted to the environment of Alola, even if there have been a few who've migrated or been brought to the islands. Moving beyond the bridge, the courtyard features a prominent Chandelure hedge maze alongside Solrock and Mel Pyroar. This is almost certainly a cultural reference to France's Sun King, but even so, Chandelure can only be found as Litwick within the Lost Hotel on Route 15. Similar to yet another Unovan Pokemon seen in the Parfum Palace, Bisharp. Well, not Bisharp exactly, but Poniard. The Bisharp seen throughout the palace is a representation of a Bisharp general who led a group of Poniard into battle, likely into war 300 years ago. The location these Pokemon are found is curious, as Route 15 is located on the eastern borders of Kalos, next to uncharted territory. But the ultimate connection to Unova, and most prominent of all, is the statues of Reshiram and Zekrom, 2 Pokemon important to Unovan mythology. The Tau Trio doesn't play a major role in Kalos, but despite this, these statues are sculpted with remarkable accuracy. Zekrom and Reshiram are rare, legendary Pokemon, who were merely in the form of stones throughout the story of Black and White. We know that the sculpture in Eterna City misrepresented Dialga and Palkia, who arguably share equal importance in Sinnoh mythology, as Reshiram and Zekrom do in Unovan mythos. Summing up, all this information suggests that Kalos must have had visitors from other regions, namely Unova, either as tourists or even combatants in the loosely documented conflict with Kalosinian neighbors. A tourist at the Zekrom statue even suggests that the Kalos region and the Unova region must have been in contact with each other. The question on how they are in contact remains unanswered, until now. It's the rail station in Couriway, which leads directly east outside of Kalos into lands unknown to us. There is no indication that this is a closed line, and in fact the Kalos map suggests that the line leads underground directly to Lumiose Station, similar to Kilud City's mainly underground connection. But this isn't all. There may, in fact, be hints towards this connection in Unova itself. Unova is known for its vast, subterranean rail system sprawling across the region. In-game, these tracks don't take us anywhere outside of the train to Anvil Town. But with the new Black and White 2 map retconning in new locations in Unova, just about every track connects, or at least pairs with locations found in Unova, except the light blue line. This route is directly for the Wi-Fi train, and by its nature represents connection, especially with those outside of your own local surroundings. An engineer in Anvil Town informs us that the Wi-Fi train is the fastest long-distance train, but what's interesting is the Wi-Fi track leads it directly west of Unova, into lands unknown to us. On the map of Kalos, both the southeast and northeast sections feature dark green patches of forest that we can assume wrap around the mountain due to appearing in both southeastern and northeastern edges of the Kalos map. These patches of dark green forest remind me of the same type of forest surrounding Unova. Importantly, we know that Kalos was on the minds of the developers during Generation 5, as Mr. Masuda confirms that its development lasted for about 3.5 years before Generation 6's global release in 2013. Though Looker, a character appearing in multiple titles, held a cleverly hidden hint towards Kalos, further showing that the developers were keen on sharing at least some suggestion to Pokemon's future title by ending our final Looker meeting in black and white with a simple adieu, French for farewell. But wait, we're not finished yet. Unova isn't the only region with connections to Kalos, as the United Kingdom-inspired Galar region does as well. Recall how the railway from Couriway extends westward to Lumiose City. Well, 2 rail connections is rather limited for such a large tourist hotspot like Lumiose. There is no way of confirming, but there could very well be more connections underground, some even potentially leading under the sea towards Galar, assuming Galar is west of Kalos. Why do I suggest this? Because we know GameFreak often takes inspiration from around our world, and especially from the region's real-life counterpart, to help flush out their worlds. But certainly, there isn't a rail connection between France and England due to the English Channel dividing them, right? Well, there is the Channel Tunnel, a 50-kilometer tunnel underneath the English Channel connecting France and England, known for offering transportation between the 2 nations, notably the high-speed Eurostar passenger trains. The suggestion of a route to Galar through a Pokemonified Channel Tunnel, if Galar is shown to be across from Kalos, isn't particularly new, but a recent event gives merit to this idea. Depending on the title you're playing, you will meet Avery or Clara once you enter a station in Galar. They are waiting for a train to the Isle of Armor to arrive, and once it does, a Galarian Slowpoke will waddle off the train, much to the station master's dismay, proving that the train did recently return from the Isle of Armor. We can later see in the most recent trailer that we do in fact go to the Isle of Armor by rail, despite there being no known above rail connection. That's not the only connection based in real-life England and France. Earlier in the video, I told you to keep Coumarin's port in mind. This port is inspired by Le Havre. Barring the details, this port has a ferry connection to Portsmouth, England. Perhaps that implied union around transportation between Couriway and Coumarin is a little less far-fetched now, eh? Let's mention one more thing. In Coumarin City, an NPC will offer to play a song. This song is a remastered version of the iconic Generation 5 tune, An Unwavering Heart, played within the city that, in Japanese, has an implied connection to Couriway, which, so far, we've suggested has a connection to Unova itself by rail. There is one more location Couriway's rail station could lead, and the idea alone makes me excited for the future of the franchise. If, in fact, Unova is east of Kalos, we don't know how far east. As a refresher, Couriway's map description is, the railway brings people from great distances to see the huge, majestic falls. Distances, plural. But we've already covered connections to Unova and Galar, so what other region is Kalos possibly connected to? Well, the answer is, it doesn't exist yet. A brand new region inspired by Germany could very well be in store for us one day, and I have evidence to suggest this. Recall the mosaic motif from earlier. This doesn't just represent bringing people together in a tourist hotspot, it also represents the culture of the Alsace region of France. The Alsace region borders modern-day Germany, and for a time was annexed by the German Empire after the Franco-Prussian War. Alsace is a distinctive mix of Franco-Germanic culture and is known for its half-timbered houses, as seen in-game. Also, in French, Couriway Town, as shown previously, maintains the mosaic motif, but also has Heim added as a suffix, directly linking it with Alsatian town names. I could go into more detail, but it's best to reserve them for Pokemon Geographic. There are a few more pieces of evidence to suggest this connection to a currently unknown German-inspired region. Recall the dark patches of green forest appearing in the northeast and southeast, and how because they appear in those locations, it can be assumed that they wrap around the mountains. If this is the case, then it would align remarkably well with Germany's Black Forest, which is east of Alsace. Lastly, historically speaking, Germany and France have been at odds as far back as tribal discourse between the Gauls and Germanic people. They are both culturally distinct and have vied for influence in mainland Europe for centuries. Couriway is a town connecting differences, and if Germany becomes a region someday, a connection to Kalos through Couriway would be the ultimate testament to that claim. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you're watching this the day it came out, then this is day 2 of my week-long upload marathon to celebrate reaching 1,000 subscribers. I feel this theory has greatly improved upon the original and was both fun and challenging to make. If you're interested in watching more videos, some end cards should be on screen now, or alternatively, you can check the description for links to several playlists. If you want to, feel free to leave a like, comment, and perhaps even subscribe with the bell to receive upload notifications. With that said, I'll catch you in the next one.